guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this super chunky oversized cardigan. It is a patchwork sweater, so you can choose any colors you want, but I hope you enjoy and let's get into the tutorial. So to get started with this project, I am going to be taking 8 different rolls of yarn. So I actually have 3 main colors, which are pretty much variations of each other. It's going to be kind of a creamy nude sweater, and then I have 2 accent colors. These are all Lions brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick in a weight. It's a super bulky weight 6, and this is in the color Fisherman. And then I have 2 in the color Wheat, and then 2 in the color Fossil. And then just to let you know, this one's in the color Carousel, and this one's in the color Starlight. And then I'm gonna be taking an 8mm crochet hook. So I am going to be working up this project in smaller sections. So to begin, I'm just creating a slip knot, and I'm going to do a chain of 30. A single crochet, I'm going to go right back into that same chain that I just went through. So I'm placing 1 more single crochet through that chain. So I have a total of 2 single crochets going through that chain. Now I'm going to jump over. I'm going to be skipping over that very next chain in the row, and I'm going to be going through the chain after it. So you're going to be skipping a chain, going through the chain after, and you're going to place 2 single crochets through that chain. And again, we are going to be skipping over that next chain, going through the chain after with 2 single crochets. So we are going to continue this pattern of skipping a chain, going into the chain after with 2 single crochet. So go ahead and continue this for the remainder of the row. So now I have made it to the end of the row. I'm just going to chain 1 to bring up the work, flip it over, and then to get started on that next row. So what we're going to be doing is that chain 1 kind of counts as your first single crochet. So I'm just going to be skipping over that very first chain of the row and going into the chain after with 2 single crochet. So instead of placing the 2 single crochet in the very first chain of the row, I'm skipping that because I don't want the side of the work to start fanning out. I want it to stay straight. So you will always be skipping that first chain, starting your pattern in the chain after. So then to continue the pattern, I'm just skipping that next chain and going through the chain after with 2 single crochet. And again, skipping the very next chain, jumping over to the chain after. So I'm just going to continue this pattern. So just continue this pattern. This first section is going to be a total of 15 rows. So I have done a total of 15 rows. I'm going to go ahead and switch the yarn out, and instead of doing a kind of traditional patchwork where I just work in patches and then attach it all later, I'm just going to change the yarn out and work it directly together so that it doesn't have seam lines. So I am gonna switch to the plain cream color. So to switch the yarn color, it's very simple. All I'm doing is just taking the new yarn, yarning over and pulling through my working yarn, and then I'm just going to cut the ends and tie the new piece of the working yarn and the old yarn together, and you can just chain one, flip over the work, and then begin the next chain with your new color. So I'm just going to continue the same pattern, and this section is also going to be 15 rows. So once you've finished that second block of color, then you have completed one of the sleeves. So now I'm just going to repeat that entire process one more time, except I am going to be choosing a different starting color. So yeah, just repeat that until you get the second sleeve. So now I have finished with the two sleeves. They should be identical. We have 15 rows and then 15 rows of the second color. So once you finish with both of these, they work up so quickly. This is such a great beginner pattern. Anyway, I'm gonna get started on the front panel now. So we're gonna continue working in the patchwork pattern. I'm going to make a slip knot to get started with the first. Place 2 single crochet, skip over that next chain, go into the chain after with 2 single crochet. So I'm just going to complete the remainder of this row with our pattern. So I'm going to do something a little bit different on the edges. I'll show you once I reach the end of the row, but we want this block to be fairly square because we are going to be attaching 2 blocks together for the patchwork pattern. So we want these to be pretty square. So almost at the end here, I'm going to show you. It's going to be a little bit different than the sleeve. The sleeve didn't matter if it was perfectly square or not. So as you can see, I just placed the 2 single crochet and that second to last chain. There's only 1 chain left of the row, so this is kind of the chain that is the turning chain, and then there's 1 chain left. So I'm just going to place my hook through that very last chain and only place 1 single crochet. So I want the edges to be square, so the last chain of the row will always just get 1 single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, flip over my work, and jump right back into the pattern. So I'm skipping that first chain, going through the chain after with 2 single crochet, skipping 2 single crochet. So I'm gonna come back once I reach the end of this row just to show you again what we're gonna do for the end of each row. So I've made it to the end of the row. I placed my 2 single crochet in that second to last chain. There's 1 chain left, so I'm just going to do 1 single crochet through that last chain. And that will make the edges more square so that we can attach another section onto this side and it won't have like a jagged edge to it. So I'm just going to repeat this. I'm going to do a total of 13 rows. So I'm just going to do a total of 13 and come back to show you how to connect the next color. So I'm finished with the first square. I did a total of 13, well, including the chain. That's a total of 13 rows. So I did 12 rows of the pattern. So now I've finished with that first square of the front half. I'm going to just attach my next color. So I'm choosing my first accent color. So I'm going to attach it the same way that I did previously. So I have my hook going through that last chain of the row. I haven't completed the chain yet. I'm just going to take my new color and I'm going to yarn over and pull through to finish that last chain of the last row. And then I'm just going to cut and tie these two ends together. And then I'm going to continue with my new color. So I'm just going to chain one, flip over the work, and jump right back into the pattern of skipping that first chain, going through the next chain with 2 single crochet. So I'm just going to work this for an additional 13 rows. So now I have finished that second block of color. I did 13 rows. I am just going to reattach my third color the same exact way. So I'm just going to be taking the cream color. So I'm just going to reattach this, tie the two ends together, and then I'm going to do another 13 rows. And then you're going to be done with this section. So I will come back once I've finished with this block and show you the next steps. So now I have finished that third block. I'm just going to cut and tie that off. Then we're going to make one exactly identical to this for the other side. And you can change up the colors. So I'm probably going to start with this color for the bottom half. I will probably use the metallic-y yarn for the middle, and then I might use the pinkish yarn for the top. So you can switch up any colors you want. These two pieces are going to be the center of the cardigan in the front, so you could choose whatever colors you want. I'm just going to make another panel like this and then be back once I'm finished. We have to do one more panel that's going to attach onto this side, and then we're going to do the back. So I'm just going to do one more identical panel to this with different colors, and I will be back. And so now we are going to be making another 2 more blocks for the front. The same exact idea of having 3 blocks of colors, except I'm not going to have it 20 chains long. I'm only going to do 10 chains long, so it's going to be a shorter block. So I'm just going to literally repeat this exact same step, except instead of 20 chains, I'm only going to begin with 10 chains. So they're also going to be 13 rows long, so you're going to make it matching. We're going to connect them together along the side. So I'm just going to go ahead and make 2 panels, and you can mix and match the colors however you like. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'll come back once I finish with those 2 panels. So now I have finished with the 2 smaller panels, and then you're going to be attaching them together to make one large piece. So these 2 pieces are going to be the front of the cardigan. Yeah, I already attached one side. So all you have to do is just line them up and make sure you are putting the design that you want together. So then I'm just gonna flip them, and then I have some leftover yarn from one of the squares, and I'm just gonna use that. So I'm just going to attach my hook through the corner through both pieces. I'm going to pull through the yarn and just make a basic double knot, and then I'm just going to be crocheting my way up. So I'm making it super simple. It's also optional if you would like to take a crochet needle and sew them together, but I just find going through both of them with the hook and then placing single crochets is the easiest way. So I'm just going to do just that. I'm going to go make my way all the way up, connecting these 2 pieces together. And then all we have left to do is the back piece. So I will be back to show you the dimensions for the squares for the back piece. These are the two front pieces for the cardigan. So you do have an option for the back piece. You can make one really long section. So you have two options for the back piece. You can make one really long piece, which would be the same length as these two combined. So this was 20, this was 10. So it'd be 60 in length. Or you can do two panels. So the length of this, which would be 30, and then you can change the colors for both sides. So if you kind of understand what I'm saying, if you want to do like 3 colors for this length, 3 colors for this length, or you just want 3 colors for the whole back in kind of stripes. This obviously isn't even squares at all, so it's really up to you. But yeah, I'm just gonna get started on that. And then all we have left is just piecing everything together, and then I'm gonna be making an edging that's gonna go along the bottom and then along the sleeves. So yeah, so I'm just popping back on to show you that I am going to break up the back piece in 2 sections. So this is 30 chains in length, and I'm just going to be working up the same pattern. So I'm going to do a total of 13 rows of this first color. Then I'm going to move into the second color and do 13 rows, and then the final color 13 rows. So you can choose any of your colors to mix and match for the back panels. So I will quickly work up these panels, connect the two together, and then I will show you how to connect the arms on. So I will be back once I'm done. So now I have completed all of the panels that I need. I have the back piece that I just attached together. So now I'm gonna begin constructing the sweater. So you could start off anywhere that you would like. I am going to start at the shoulder, so I'm going to connect these 2 pieces together, this corner, and I'm going to connect it all the way, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Get started on that. I'm going to do that off camera because it's the same way that I've been doing all of these. So now I have these shoulders and these sleeves connected, so I'm going to get started on connecting the sleeve to the actual body piece. And I've realized the easiest way to probably do this is to join your yarn at the very top of the sleeve and then connect it to the top of the body, and then work your way down one side. And then once you get to the bottom, you can just go ahead and go off of the sleeve and then continue connecting the body piece together to the bottom of the cardigan, and then just reattach on the other side and connect the other side. So I hope that explains it thoroughly. I'm gonna do this off camera again, but that's all I'm gonna be doing, is just connecting the same way, just one side, the rest of the body, and then the other side. So now I have finished connecting all of the pieces together, and I have, for the most part, weaved in all of my loose strands except for the ones on the edge, because I'm going to be putting an edging, so I'm going to weave those in while I go. But so to get started on the edging, I'm just going to place it on one of the corners, and I'm going to be taking my cream colored yarn. So you could really attach it anywhere on the work, because we're going to be working in a round all the way around the edge. So I'm just going to be placing 1 row of single crochet to get started. So I'm just going to make my way all the way around the work.
Mama?
Yeah.
Mama?
Yeah. So I made my way all the way around, and I'm just gonna let you know I'm at the corner to come to the front of the work. So at this corner, I'm gonna be placing 3 single crochets just to make the round. So 3 single crochet through that same chain. Now it's rounded out, I'm gonna continue my way up the work. So I made my way up the front of the cardigan, and I'm just going to attach it straight onto the back of the neck. So I'm just going directly over to the back. So now I've made my way all the way around the entire perimeter of the cardigan. I am just joining to the very first stitch with a slip stitch. So now I am going to do one more row, except for this row I am going to be including some decreases. So I'm just going to chain one, go through that first chain with a single crochet, and then go through the next two chains with one single crochet each. And then in that next chain is where I'll put the decrease. So I'm placing my hook through that chain, yarn over, pull through, go through that very next chain, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all three. That is how I'm going to decrease. And then I'm just going to place one single crochet in each of the next three chains, and then again decrease. So I'm going to do this all along the bottom. So I have made my way back to the turn to go back up the side of the cardigan. I am going to stop the decreasing, and I'm just going to do one single crochet in each chain, making my way around the neck and all the way back down. And then once I reach this, I'm going to begin the decreases again until I reach the beginning point, and then I'm going to slip stitch back together. And I just want to say again, at the corner, at that very corner chain, you're going to be placing 3 single crochets through that chain. So now I've made my way back down to the other corner. On this corner, again, I'm just going to be placing 3 single crochet to make the turn. And now I'm going to jump back into the decreases up until I meet where the second row began. So in that very first 2 chains, I'm going to decrease and then jump back into 1 single crochet in the next 3 chains, followed by a decrease. So then that brings me back to the beginning, and I'm just going to place a slip stitch through that first chain of the row. And now I am just going to cut and tie my yarn here, and then I'm going to attach it onto the corner of the sleeve, and I'm going to do that same exact process of doing a round of single crochet and then a round of decrease. So I'm just showing, I did the 2 rows, 1 single crochet row, 1 of decrease. I did a slip stitch in that last chain. I'm just going to cut and tie and do that to the other sleeve. So now that I've finished with both sleeves, you are basically done with the project. I think I want to add an optional edging onto the bottom and to the sleeves, but if you want to stop here, then the project is basically done. It's just so chunky, oversized, really thick and heavy. So this is great for lounging around the house. You could add buttons, you could honestly do whatever you would like. So now I'm moving on to a totally optional portion of this tutorial. So I used up all of the yarn that I had shown in the beginning. So this is a total of 8 balls of yarn. So you will need 8, and this completes this size, which is a small to medium. So if you need to do anything larger, I always say these tutorials are totally customizable. If you want to add a few more rows, add a few more chains to the initial work that I'm showing, that's totally fine, and it won't mess up the pattern. You would just have extra rows or extra chains. So if you need anything larger than this size, this is already pretty big, but if you want to do something super oversized, I would recommend adding 2 to 3 more balls of yarn. So this is optional. I am taking a different kind of yarn because I used all of my yarn. So this is what I had. It's a bulky weight 5, so it's a little bit smaller, but I think that will look nice for the edging. I want to do a ribbed edging on the bottom and on the sleeves. So if you are long piece. So this piece is going to need to go along the entire perimeter of the bottom of the sweater. So that is going to be fairly long. The only tip that I'm going to add in is I want this to be a little bit smaller than the length. So when I crochet this together, I'm going to be stretching this and then crocheting it to the bottom. So you don't need to do the exact length, but something that's a little bit smaller will be perfectly fine. So now I've finished the edging. It's not exactly the same length because I am going to stretch it while I'm attaching it. So I'm not even going to cut and tie. I'm just gonna go directly off my working yarn, flip it upside down, and then I'm going to just go straight into attaching it. So the only important thing to take note of, you're going to want to pull the ribbing as you're attaching it. So just make sure you're keeping it pulled tightly. And then just attach with a single crochet along the top. And then once you're finished with this, you are done. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm just gonna close it out here. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any suggestions for next videos, I do have 2 more sweater patterns lined up for tutorials. So it's gonna be a little bit more of a fall theme, because that's what I'm getting requests for on my Instagram. So if you're not already following me on Instagram, I recommend. It's just a really easy way to keep in touch and to DM me and send me your comments and questions. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.